Hello and welcome. In this video, let's understand how we can encrypt and decrypt data in SQL Server. In this video, we will understand how we can encrypt and decrypt data using a symmetric key. There are other ways also, like we can use a symmetric key or we can use certificate to perform this encryption and decryption. But in this video, let's focus on symmetric key encryption. In this, we will have our original text that will be encrypted using a symmetric key, and this encrypted code will be stored in database. Let's say we will store this in a database table, and when we want this data, we will use the same key and we will decrypt this data and we will get the original data back. Let's understand this in SQL Server Management Studio. Now let's create a table. For this example, I will be creating an employee table. So this is my table definition. I am having three columns here: employee ID, employee name, and salary. Salary I have defined as var binary. Basically, we will be storing the salary in an encrypted format. We will not store the salary as a plain text. So let's create this table. Okay, so the table has been created. Now, the first step is we need to create a master key. And to perform encryption and decryption, we basically need a master key in SQL Server. If you already have a master key, then this step is not required. But if you are starting with encryption or decryption, then you will need a master key. Let me show you how you can create a master key for encryption. You need to say create master key encryption, and then you need to specify a password for your master key. So I am executing create master key encryption by password, and this will be my password. Let's execute this. This will create a master key. And if you try to create one more master key in your database, let's see what will happen. You will get this warning. There is already a master key in the database. Please drop it before performing this statement. So in one database, you can only have one master key. And again, if you already have the master key in your database, then you don't need this step. Now, the second step is to create a symmetric key. The symmetric key is used to encrypt the data. So now let's create this symmetric key in database. To create a symmetric key, I need to run create symmetric key statement. And I will name it my symmetric key. Okay, so I'm naming my symmetric key as my SYM key. And we need to specify the algorithm that will be used for encryption. For this video, let's use the algorithm as AES256. And we need to specify a password for this symmetric key also. So let's specify that by using encryption by password. And let's specify a password here also. Right, so this will be my password for my symmetric key. Now, to perform this encryption and decryption, we will be needing this particular password. First, let's create this symmetric key. My symmetric key is also created. Now, let's try to insert some data in our employees table. So let's say insert into. Okay, so what I want to do, right? I want to create this code. I want to create an employee with name Alice, and I want to give salary as 65,000. And if you remember, we have the salary column as var binary. So we can only store data in var binary format, and we will be storing the data in encrypted format, right? We cannot store as a plain text. And to encrypt this 65,000, we need to use encrypt by key function that is inbuilt in SQL Server. So let me show you how you can use that encrypt by key function. Let's call encrypt by key function. Okay, and this will basically take two parameters. One will be our symmetric key ID. So we know our key name is this. So to get the key ID of this, we need to use key underscore do it function, and let's pass the key name here. My key name is my symmetric key, and the second parameter will be the text that you want to encrypt. So I want to encrypt 65,000. And after this, basically we cannot directly encrypt our data. To encrypt the data, first we need to open our symmetric key. If you remember, we have used this password to lock our symmetric key. So we cannot directly use our symmetric key here. First we need to open this symmetric key, and then we need to use it for encryption. And to open the symmetric key, we need to use open symmetric key query. And now let's specify the key name, and we need to use decryption by password, and let's specify the password. So this is my symmetric key password, right? And once the insertion is done, let's close our encryption key again. So I will be saying close symmetric key and my key name. That's it. Okay. So now let's run these three statements. So what is happening? First, we are opening our symmetric key with the password which we used when we created the symmetric key. Then we inserted the data, and while inserting the data, we used this function encrypt by key function, and we have passed the GUID ID of this symmetric key, and we have passed down the plain text, right? And finally we have closed our symmetric key. So now let's select these three statements and execute. You can see one row affected. Now let's check the data present in our employees table. If you check the data, we have the employee ID, employee name, and we have the salary as encrypted format. We don't have the salary in the plain text, right? You can see here, this is encrypted format, so that anyone who is trying to see our table will not be able to see the salary directly. First, we need to decrypt the data, and then only we can see the salary. Now, let's see how we can decrypt this data. Okay, to decrypt, again, we need to open our symmetric key. So let's copy this line and paste it. And now, in order to decrypt it, what we need to say, let's say I want to decrypt the salary, right? To decrypt the salary, we have the decrypt by key method, and this will take just one parameter. Let's say the parameter is salary. Let's select the name of the employee also, and we need to convert this data which we are getting from decrypt by key value to varchar 50, right? Because this will give the data in binary format. So let's convert this, right? And finally, as we know, we have opened this symmetric key, then we have to close it also. So let's copy this statement and put it here. So this is the process of decryption. First, we need to open the key, we need to decrypt the data, and then close the key. Let's run these three statements. You can see we are able to get decrypted value 65,000 as expected. So this is how encryption and decryption can be done at SQL Server side.